Hey Copper Nerds, a couple months ago I was hanging out with Jim Carr at the ANA when I took his advanced EAC class, and he made a casual comment while we were like walking to lunch or something about how the S30 and the S31 are the same die, just the S31 was heavily reworked. And I tucked it away for later, but in my mind I was like, well, I know the lower hook's different. I know that the hair terminations are very different. So that didn't, I mean, look at those two. Look at the hair. Just look at the hair. Does that look the same to you? Does it? Does it look the same? Because it didn't to me, but when you look at it closely, it definitely is. Let's get into it. So these are Obverses 11 and 12, which are the two different Obverses that have the double lower lock. And one thing of note is that the shape of the double lower lock is clearly different, right? Look at particularly that lower hook. I mean, looks much different, right? But let's look at some other clues. I mean, see that gap or that void inside of the fatter lock of hair? Check out that little engraving mark right there. There's a lot of weird engraving inside of that hair lock. But one thing we're going to see a lot, and what I'm going to show you here, is that the dies have been resurfaced, where the surface of the die has been planed down. And what that does is it removes the shallower engraving from the die face. And what it looks like on the surface of the coin, when you see that, is like someone has taken this spot and filled it up with water a little bit. And then what the highest points would remain behind. So watch this. Just that little bit remains. The highest point from that weird engraving stuff that was happening inside of the hair, if we flood that out, there it is. The other thing that would have done is obscure what was left of this lower, thinner lock. And you're gonna see that they just added a bit of a tail to it, which hooked it, right? Now the overlay is not perfect here. We have a little bit of a shift. But look at that. It's just like, again, like you flooded it and then did a little re-engraving, and that looks the same. Let's take a look at the one. All that's happening here is, again, the shallower part of the engraving is planed away, creating a little bit of space. We lose a little bit of the tip of the one. We lose those shallow hair details, but it's all still there and the spacing is still the same. We lose the corner of the 7 just because of resurfacing the die. The shallower corner of that 7, it goes away. Now, a really neat area to look at here. Again, when you resurface that die heavily, what it appears to me is that you flooded it. Like this was topography on a map, and then we flooded it with water. Watch what happens. Those areas line up perfectly. So where it's flooded out, before, those are the low points. They just have some light engraving detail. But again, once we plane that surface down and flood it, bam, same. Let's check out some of these hair terminations, because the hair locks look much different, right? They all turn down. Start with these two. If we were to plane that down a bit and then re-engrave some ends of the hair that are going to curve down, that's what we see. How about up here? Look at that little chip in the field. It looks like that chip expands into the lower portion where it's already begun. And then they're just going to extend the hair from where they're currently at for their terminations. They're just going to extend that hair out and down. Oops, wrong direction. That doesn't help. Let's do that again. They're going to extend those hair details out and down. This one actually connects up with that die chip. Moving up here, same thing. Those hair details were just short and stubby. They're going to get extended. Pretty crazy, right? Let's check out the spacing on Liberty. Look at the letter spacing. Again, the overlay is not quite perfect, but letter spacing, orientation of R and T over the front of the hair, spacing of L from the cap, the shape of the letters themselves. Let's take a look at the pole. That's kind of fun. We're going to lose the shallower part of the bust tip. And again, this pole is going to, after resurfacing, be shallow, and it was re-engraved a little more ornately. But, or I don't know, ornately is the wrong word. A nice curvature. They spent a lot of time getting a nice curve, whereas this is kind of flat and ugly. Yeah. But look where the bust tip has sort of been lost from the dye resurfacing. Let's look at the tip of the pole. This is really neat. So we start there. It's clearly got a point, and then we see a little bit of connection from either flow line or light engraving. Watch what happens later. Still to a spike, still's got that same kind of flow there. Let's check out the 9 and the 4. So there's our 4 at the beginning. Again, we're gonna see some of the edges on that soften, at the top particularly. Same with the 9. We're gonna lose a little bit of the lower loop on the 9. So I'm convinced, are you? Let me know in the comments. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.